Today's story är så of the most unexpected, unbelievable, and jaw-dropping revelations ever to come out of the Shannon family universe. What if told you that behind the wild chaos, the custody battles, the heartbreaks and the drama, there was a secret story that nobody saw coming? A secret connection, a hidden emotional bond, a love story so surprising that even long-time fans are questioning everything they knew about the family. Yes, today we dive into what Mama June herself hinted at, the emotional, complicated, and controversial secret love story between her granddaughter Kaitlyn Jameen and the one and only honey BooBoo, also known as Alana Thompson. Before you jump to conclusions, sit tight, because nothing about this story is simple. Nothing about this story is ordinary. And absolutely nothing about this story is what you think. This is a full-scale emotional roller coaster filled with twists, confessions, unexpected attachments, and shocking family reactions. So make sure you watch till the very end. Let's begin at the point where everything started. Right after the heartbreaking passing of Kaitlyn's mom, Anna "Chickadee" Cardwell. With Anna gone, a massive void opened up in the family, especially for young Kaitlyn, who had to face the most difficult moment of her life. In the middle of all this emotional chaos, something very unusual began happening inside the Shannon household. Something Mama June says she didn't notice at first, but once she did, everything changed. Kaitlyn, grieving and confused, started spending an extraordinary amount of time with Alana, honey BooBoo. Yes, the same honey BooBoo who grew up in front of the entire world, went viral, became a reality TV star, and then fought her own battles with growing up, independence and dealing with fame. But this wasn't just cousin bonding. This wasn't just two family members hanging out. According to Mama June, there was something deeper, something emotional, something that Kaitlyn wasn't opening up to anyone else about. They started having secret late-night conversations, long phone calls, moments where Kaitlyn would only talk if Alana was in the room. She would shut down with everyone else, except Alana. A strange emotional dependency began forming. At first Mama June thought it was normal. Trauma bonding, sisterly comfort, emotional support. But then, suddenly, things took a different turn. Their connection grew stronger, and stronger, and stronger. To a point where Kaitlyn's mood, decisions, and reactions began to revolve completely around Alana. If Alana wasn't home, Kaitlyn refused to talk. If Alana tried to go out, Kaitlyn would cry. If Alana posted something on social media, Kaitlyn became obsessed with reading every comment. Mama June says she even caught Kaitlyn writing Alana's name secretly in her notebook. And when asked why, Kaitlyn simply said, "She understands me. No one else does." And that's when the Shannon family began whispering. Family members who saw their private dynamic began questioning whether this was just emotional attachment, or something deeper. Something that looked like protectiveness, admiration, and intense affection. Something Mama June herself described as almost like a secret crush. That's when the phrase, secret love story, first surfaced. Not publicly. Not on TV. Not online. But inside the house, in quiet conversations, behind closed doors. Kaitlyn's eyes would light up when Alana walked in. She would give her small gifts, write her little notes, follow her everywhere. And when Alana tried to leave for college or spend time with her boyfriend, Kaitlyn would break down. Some family members said it wasn't love. Some said it was trauma. Some said it was confusion from grief. But Mama June said she saw something in Kaitlyn's behavior that reminded her of a young girl falling in love for the first time. Meanwhile, Alana had no idea what to do. She loved Kaitlyn as family. She wanted to support her. But she was overwhelmed by the intensity. And things reached a breaking point one day when Kaitlyn made a confession. One Mama June claims shocked Alana into silence. Kaitlyn allegedly told Alana, "I don't want to lose you. I want you with me forever." A statement both innocent and emotionally heavy. One that made the entire family realize just how deep this attachment had grown. Mama June says that this moment forced her to step in. She sat both girls down and explained that emotional dependency after trauma is real, but it can become unhealthy if not handled properly. She explained to Kaitlyn that loving someone doesn't always mean romance, that sometimes the heart gets confused when dealing with grief and comfort at the same time. But Kaitlyn insisted that her bond with Alana was something special, something different, something she said no one could understand. The story only got more complicated when social media started noticing the unusual closeness between the two. Fans began creating theories, rumors, and dramatic interpretations. Some began calling it a secret love story. Others said it was a desperate cry for emotional stability. And then Mama June finally broke her silence. In a private conversation with close associates, later leaked, Mama June said, "People ain't wrong for feeling something is there, but they don't understand what kind of love it is." She didn't deny the bond. She didn't deny the intensity. She didn't deny the attachment. Instead, she described it as something emotional, pure, but deeply misunderstood. She said Kaitlyn's heart was confused, overwhelmed, and searching for safety. And in that vulnerable moment, it attached itself to Alana. A love story. But not the kind people think. A story of emotional survival, of grief, of longing for connection. A story of two girls caught in the middle of a storm, trying to hold on to each other in the only way they knew. But the family wasn't done. Because the deeper Mama June dug into the situation, the more she discovered. Hidden letters. Secret messages. Late-night emotional recordings Kaitlyn made talking about losing Alana. A pattern that made Mama June realize just how fragile Kaitlyn really was. And now, for the first time, Mama June is revealing this entire emotional storm to the world. Not for drama, not for TV ratings, but because she wants people to understand what trauma does to a child's heart, and how love sometimes gets tangled in the most unexpected ways. But trust me, this is only the beginning. Because what happened next would shake the Shannon family to its core. A major confession. A dramatic confrontation. And a turning point that changed Alana and Kaitlyn's relationship forever. And yes, Mama June says it's something the world isn't ready to hear yet. But we're going to uncover it in the next part. What came after that emotional revelation was something nobody in the Shannon family expected. Because once Mama June realized how deep Kaitlyn's attachment truly was, she knew she had to take control of the situation before it spiraled into something far more complicated. But the problem was, Kaitlyn wasn't ready to let go. She wasn't ready to accept boundaries. She wasn't ready to hear anything that sounded like losing Alana. And that's when the tension in the house slowly began to rise. Every time Alana tried to go out with friends, Kaitlyn would shut down. Every time Alana posted a picture with someone else, Kaitlyn became upset. She began asking questions like, "Why wasn't I in the picture? Why didn't you call me first? Do you not care about me anymore?" Mama June says these weren't normal questions. They were filled with fear, insecurity, and something else. Something deeper. And then one evening, during a quiet moment when everyone was in the living room, Kaitlyn suddenly said something that froze the entire room. She looked at Alana and said, "If I lose you, I don't want to live here anymore." That was the moment Alana realized this wasn't just emotional support. This was emotional dependence turning into obsession. Alana tried to calm Kaitlyn down, but nothing worked. And when Mama June stepped in to explain that Alana needed her own space and independence too, Kaitlyn ran into her room and slammed the door. What happened next took the situation to another level. Kaitlyn started secretly writing long confessions, letters about how she felt toward Alana. Letters expressing love, fear, attachment, longing, and emotional confusion. Mama June found one tucked under Kaitlyn's pillow. And when she read it, she said it broke her heart. Because the letter wasn't written like a child writing to a cousin. Was written like someone terrified of losing the one person they felt safe with. "Don't want her to leave me," the letter said. "Love her in a way can't explain." Mama June knew she couldn't ignore it anymore. She gently confronted Kaitlyn and asked if she wanted to talk. Kaitlyn burst into tears. And after weeks of holding everything inside, she finally made her confession. "Don't know why feel this way, just don't want Alana to go away, love her more than anyone." Mama June held her and told her that love comes in many forms. Family love, sister love, emotional love, and that grief can make the heart desperate for any connection that feels safe. But the truth was, Kaitlyn wasn't ready to understand the difference. Meanwhile, Alana was struggling too. She didn't want to pull away and hurt Kaitlyn. But she also didn't want to feed an emotional dependency she knew could destroy Kaitlyn over time. Then came the moment that pushed the situation to its breaking point. A college acceptance letter arrived for Alana. She had been waiting for it for months. But instead of celebrating, the room went quiet. Kaitlyn stared at the letter for a long time. Her eyes filled with tears before she whispered, "You're leaving me?" Alana tried to explain that it didn't mean she was abandoning her. She promised she would visit, call, and stay connected. But Kaitlyn didn't believe her. she shouted. "You'll forget about me. Everyone forgets about me." The room fell silent. Mama June tried to intervene, but Kaitlyn broke down completely, crying uncontrollably. She kept saying, "Don't go. Don't leave me. Please don't go." Alana herself started crying. For a moment she even considered rejecting the college offer. That's how emotionally heavy everything had become. That's when Mama June made the toughest decision she had made in months. She told Alana, "You have to go. You can't give up your life for this. And Kaitlyn has to learn to heal the right way." It was the right choice, but also the most painful one. For the next few days, the house was filled with tension. Kaitlyn wouldn't come out of her room. Alana kept blaming herself. And Mama June spent every night trying to keep the family from collapsing again. Finally, the day arrived when Alana had to start packing. And when Kaitlyn saw the suitcase, everything erupted again. She shouted, cried, and begged her to stay. But this time Mama June did something bold. Something she said was necessary. She sat Kaitlyn down, looked her in the eyes, and said, "Loving someone doesn't mean holding them hostage. Love means letting them live their life." Kaitlyn didn't understand. Not yet. But when Alana hugged her goodbye, something clicked inside her. She held on tight, crying into her shoulder, and said one last heartbreaking sentence. "Promise you won't replace me." Alana promised. She promised with her whole heart. And that moment became the emotional climax of their entire journey. But the story doesn't end there. Because once Alana left for college, something surprising began to happen. Something Mama June describes as the turning point in Kaitlyn's emotional recovery. The distance, instead of breaking Kaitlyn, started helping her heal. She began writing in a journal. She started attending support sessions. She slowly learned the difference between love, attachment, and emotional dependence. And then, after weeks of silence, Alana sent her a long voice message saying she missed her too. That single message changed everything. Kaitlyn didn't cry this time. Instead, she smiled. She finally started understanding that love doesn't disappear just because someone isn't physically there. And that's when Mama June realized something hopeful. The secret love story people whispered about wasn't a romantic story. It was a story of emotional survival. A story of a grieving girl holding on to the only light she could find. A story of a bond that looked confusing on the surface but was deeply human underneath. But trust me, this emotional journey is far from over. Because what happens when Alana returns home for the first time after college? What does Kaitlyn say? Does the bond grow stronger? Does it fade? Or does something completely unexpected happen? The next chapter in this story is the one nobody saw coming, and it changes everything again. And we'll uncover all of it in the next part. Weeks passed. Then months. And slowly, the emotional storm that had shaken the Shannon household began to settle. Kaitlyn was healing, bit by bit, day by day. She wasn't fully okay yet, but she was learning to stand on her own feet. Learning to breathe without fear. Learning to love without losing herself. But the real test of her healing was yet to come. Because after months away at college, Alana, Honey Boo Boo, was coming home. Not for a day. Not for a weekend. But for an entire holiday break. And for the first time since their emotional confrontation, the two girls were going to be face to face again. Mama June was terrified of what this reunion might bring. Would Kaitlyn fall back into the same emotional dependency? Would she break down again? Would the old wounds reopen? Or had she grown enough to handle it? The whole house felt the tension as the day approached. Mama June said she hadn't seen Kaitlyn this nervous in months. The night before Alana arrived, Kaitlyn barely slept. She kept pacing through the hallway, walking in circles, sitting down, getting up again. She kept asking Mama June questions she didn't have answers to. What if she's changed? What if she doesn't want to talk to me anymore? What if she forgot about me? Mama June kept telling her, love doesn't disappear that fast. But the fear in Kaitlyn's eyes was real. She wasn't afraid of Alana leaving anymore. She was afraid of not being important to her anymore. And then the day came. The sound of a car pulling up outside made Kaitlyn freeze. Her breath caught in her throat. Her hands trembled. Mama June placed a hand on her shoulder and said, just breathe, pumpkin. She's your family. She loves you. The door opened. Alana stepped in. She looked older. happier, more confident. College had changed her, but in a good way. For a moment, the house stood still. No words. No movement. Just two girls staring at each other across the hallway. Then Kaitlyn whispered, "Hi," and Alana smiled softly and said, "I missed you." That was enough. Enough to melt months of fear and doubt. Kaitlyn ran to her and hugged her tightly. Not desperately, not fearfully, but with warmth. With relief. With love that no longer felt tangled or confused. And for the first time, Alana's smile didn't hide any sadness or guilt. She hugged Kaitlyn back and whispered, "Proud of you." Mama June watched from the kitchen doorway, tears in her eyes. She knew this was the moment that would decide everything. And thankfully, it was a good moment. The next few hours were filled with excitement. Kaitlyn asked hundreds of questions. Alana shared stories about her classes, her friends, her dorm life. But unlike before, Kaitlyn wasn't clinging to her every word. She was engaged, happy, and curious, but she wasn't afraid. She wasn't desperate. She wasn't trying to hold on to Alana like she might disappear. She was finally learning the difference between needing someone and loving someone. But the turning point came later that night. When everyone was asleep, Kaitlyn knocked softly on Alana's door. She didn't barge in. She didn't cry. She didn't panic. She simply said, "Can we talk?" Alana nodded and invited her in. They sat together on the floor, just like they used to. And Kaitlyn said something that shocked Alana, but in the best possible way. She said, "No, now that the wattled before wasn't the kind of love thought it was. Was scared. Was hurting. And you were the only person could hold on to. But don't feel that way anymore. Still love you. But it's the right kind of love now." Tears filled Alana's eyes. Because this was the closure she didn't realize she needed. She hugged Kaitlyn again, this time gently, proudly. And she said, "You've grown so much. I'm really proud of you." After that emotional moment, everything began to change. Their relationship wasn't heavy or overwhelming anymore. It was natural, healthy, warm. They laughed together, cooked together, watched old episodes of their own show together. And this time, Kaitlyn didn't feel afraid to let Alana go when she needed space. But just when it seemed everything was settling into place, life threw another twist their way. One evening, during a casual family dinner, Mama June made a comment that shifted the entire tone of the room. She said, "Y'all know, people online still think there's some kind of love story going on between you two." Everyone froze. The air got heavy again. Kaitlyn looked down. Alana sighed. They thought the world had forgotten. But the internet had kept the rumor alive. The fan theories. The comments. The speculation. The endless posts discussing whether Kaitlyn had a crush on Alana. And suddenly, Kaitlyn felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Embarrassment. She whispered, "Are they still talking about it?" Mama June nodded. "Every time y'all post something together, the comments go wild." Kaitlyn's face turned red. "But it's not like that anymore," Mama June gently replied. "I know. But the internet don't know your heart. They make up their own stories." That night, Kaitlyn couldn't sleep. Not because of fear or longing, but because she finally understood something powerful. Sometimes, the world creates a story out of your pain. Story that isn't yours. Story that doesn't belong to you. And only you can change the ending. The next day, Kaitlyn made a bold decision. One even Mama June didn't expect. She told Alana, "Want to talk about it publicly. Want people to know the truth. Want to end the rumors." Alana hesitated at first. But then she agreed. They filmed a short video together. Simple, honest, real. In the video, Kaitlyn said, "Went through a very hard time. Loved Alana because was scared of losing the only person who made me feel safe. But that wasn't romantic love. That was trauma and grief. And I'm better now." Alana added, "And love her too. As family. As someone always protect. But not in the way the internet thinks." When they posted the video, the internet exploded. Millions of views. Tens of thousands of comments. Some supportive, some shocked, some still confused. But one thing was clear. Their honesty changed the narrative. Wasn't a secret love story anymore. was a story of healing. Story of transformation. Story of two girls who went through emotional chaos and came out stronger. But just when they thought everything was finally behind them, another unexpected twist arrived. A twist involving Kaitlyn's future. One that would once again shake the Shannon family. And yes, change everything. Again. What is this twist? How does it connect to the emotional journey she just completed? And how will it affect her bond with Alana? All the answers are coming in the next part. Just when everyone thought the emotional storm had passed, just when the internet finally understood the truth, and just when the Shannon family finally found peace, something unexpected entered the picture. Something that would once again test Kaitlyn's strength, maturity, and emotional growth started with a letter. Simple, white envelope that showed up in the mailbox with no return address. Mama June almost threw it away, thinking it was junk mail, but something made her open it. And the moment she read the first line, her heart dropped. It was from Kaitlyn's biological father. The father who had been absent for years. The father who never showed up during the custody battle. The father who never called after Anna passed away. The father whose silence had been one of the biggest invisible wounds in Kaitlyn's life. The letter said he wanted to reconnect. To talk. To see his daughter again. To be in her life. Mama June didn't know what to do. She didn't want to keep secrets, but she also didn't want to reopen wounds Kaitlyn had barely managed to close. She waited for the right moment. And when she finally showed the letter to Kaitlyn, the reaction was not what anyone expected. Kaitlyn didn't cry. She didn't panic. She didn't freeze. She just stared at the letter in silence. A long, heavy silence. Then she whispered, "Why now?" was the question everyone was asking. Why now? Why after so many years of distance? Why after he ignored Anna's illness? Why after he didn't fight for custody? Why after all the pain, confusion, and abandonment? Alana was there too. She put a hand on Kaitlyn's shoulder and said, "You don't have to do anything you're not ready for." But Kaitlyn surprised everyone when she said, "Want to talk to him?" Mama June blinked in shock. "Are you sure?" Kaitlyn nodded slowly. "I think I'm strong enough now." That sentence alone showed how far she had come. A year earlier, a simple rumor online could break her. Now, she was ready to face the person who had caused some of the deepest emotional scars in her life. Mama June arranged a meeting. Public place. Neutral. Safe. But the night before the meeting, something happened that shook Kaitlyn more than she expected. She started thinking, what if he doesn't care? What if he only came back for attention? What if he leaves again? These thoughts filled her mind like shadows, creeping in slowly, trying to break her resolve. She started pacing again. Breathing fast. Her fingers trembling. The old anxiety was trying to return. But this time, she didn't fight it alone. Alana walked into her room, sat beside her, and said, "You don't have to be scared of losing anyone anymore. You already survived the biggest losses. This one won't break you." Kaitlyn looked at her and asked, "You'll be there, right?" Alana smiled. "Always." The next day, they all went together. Mama June, Alana, and Kaitlyn. The meeting was set in a quiet park with a bench under a tree. When they arrived, Kaitlyn saw a man standing alone with his hands in his pockets. He looked nervous, older than she remembered, and nothing like the father she once